Hello and welcome to another Board of Education meeting recap, this time for the month of September 2022. My name is Duke Bradley, Chief of Staff, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Superintendent Mary Elizabeth Davis.
Hey Duke, and it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us for this month's recap. As you can see, following the departure of J.D. Harden, long time standing Executive Director of Communications, I have a co-host to continue to bring this Board of Education recap to you on a monthly basis, and we could not be more excited to tell you about this September's board meeting. We started our welcome by recognizing that it was just on the heels of our nation recognizing Patriots Day, and we were able to lift up some of our local law enforcement officials, first responders, fire and EMT leadership, and just take a moment to recognize the critical role that they play here in our community. We coupled that celebration by all of our governance team wearing gold. And this was really just a moment of collective commitment to the supporting the young people and bringing awareness to those battling childhood cancer. Right here in Henry County Schools, we wanted any student who may be battling this awful disease to know that you have a team, we see you, we care about you, and we honor you with our collective commitment to you. After our welcome, we actually had a chance to hear a little bit from Board Chair Holly Cobb, who provided her own remarks as a welcome, and let's take a listen.
Just a brief minute just to update our community on some of the things that we've been working on as a board. So we know that a high-performing school district really begins with a high-performing Board of Education. And so we've been working hard as a team to define our governance commitment so that we create the conditions for success for every student to succeed in our school system. We also, as you all, I'm sure, are very aware, we have worked hard to engage our community and developed a 5-year strategic plan, and also established metrics to hold ourselves accountable and to measure our success. And we most recently reaffirmed our commitment to our Code of Ethics as a symbol of our recognition that our governance is only effective when we govern as a body of elected officials and not as individuals.
Well, following the welcome, we got right into the business of our work for the day. And we had some really wonderful comments by our board chair, Holly Cobb, and our board vice chair, Mrs. Annette Edwards, talking a little bit about some of the things that they did at a recent national conference.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Duke. You know, it was amazing that our Board of Education was invited to the first ever COSBA conference, a national conference for board members. And the reason our board was invited was to talk about the board's role and the board's actions that drive results for kids. Our Board of Education was able to talk about the role that their policies have played and the role that our strategic plan, as inspired by our community, has played in really driving improvements for young people right here in Henry County Schools. They had extraordinary response from board members from across this country wanting to know more and really wanting to dive into what it must be like to have a board who functions with this unified governance vision. Let's go ahead and listen in.
We were so honored to be invited to present at a national conference last week. We had the honor of presenting at the actual inaugural meeting of a new national organization called the Consortium of State School Boards Association, or COSBA. It was held last Thursday and Friday at the Omni Hotel in Atlanta, and Dr. Davis, Mrs. Edwards, and myself had the opportunity to present. And I had my section of the presentation had to do mainly with the strategic plan, and everyone seemed really excited about the work that we're doing here and just really impressed at some of the things that we had to share with them. They were just really impressed at how we have been working hard as a board to accomplish these things, and it just was great to be in the presence of board members and superintendents from across the nation. And so I'll turn it over to Mrs. Edwards to share also a portion of what she discussed.
My part of the discussion was about why unified governance matters. And the areas that I spoke about that were highlighted were, it started with the governance training. I also talked about the organization of organizing of our core beliefs. I also mentioned about we aligned the superintendent's evaluation with our core beliefs, and we saw rave reviews after that. I talked about the creation of a governance team actions and creating foundations through reform policies. And my last point was about the 11-point gain in 2019 that we all was amazed at the gain, and how disappointed we all were because COVID came while we were on a roll. I expressed to them we were really looking for an additional 4-point gain for that next year, but unfortunately COVID came and set us back.
Not only did they share about the 11-point gain that we had, but Dr. Davis, as part of her presentation, also shared the amazing gains that we had in Algebra 1 during a pandemic. And I wish that I had recorded the looks on their faces. Like, they just could not believe what we were saying. And so I've told so many people, it really wasn't about us. It really was about what our team has been able to accomplish. And so it was a great opportunity to brag on everyone in our school system and how hard everyone's been working and the results that we've seen from that. So just really an honor to attend that conference.
Well, our study session kicked off with a board report from our Chief of Learning and Performance, Marion McCreary. She talked about financial literacy standards, which is something that is really exciting and new to Henry County schools. It was a really wonderful discussion.
It really was. It really starts back with that community voice that was captured in the months between 2019 into the early part of 2020, when we engaged our community in what mattered most. And one of the emerging themes was a real desire, a collective desire, that our students experience more exposure to financial literacy. So now, for the first time ever, in response to that clear commitment, our Board of Education reviewed draft standards that would be supplemented on top of our current standards that really grow the skills and the knowledge for young people when it comes to managing finances. We would love to invite you to visit our website and participate in the public feedback session. Those financial literacy standards are out for public review, and your voice is welcomed as we continue to move in a direction of adopting the first ever customized standards based on our community's priorities. Let's take a listen to the board's discussion.
Without a doubt, one of the things that I've heard most from community members over the last several years is their hope and desire for children to have exposure to financial literacy in school. This is so wonderful. I just wish that this would have always been a part of our public schools, but I'm grateful for this board and our commitment to doing more than what the state requires. So thank you so much.
And our next item was really a procedural matter where our Board of Education was presented with their schedule for board meetings for the 2022-2023 school year. It is important to note that that schedule is going to be on our website and placed out for public review and comment for a period of 30 days. But we're also really excited that the next matter on our agenda was really a proclamation. It was truly an opportunity for our Board of Education to pause and to acknowledge the extraordinary results of our students, our teachers, and of course, all of the wonderful things that happened during the 2021-2022 school year.
Yeah, our first business item for the evening was a vision of our chair and vice chair, who really saw in last month's board meeting these results that were really achieved by young people in our school system, made possible by the teachers and our support professionals who really dedicated the arduous task to make school accessible this past year. They wanted to just not take that for granted.
That's right.
There was a moment of pause and proclamation, really acknowledging the teachers, the leaders, the support professionals who made access to a public education possible, and these unprecedented results coming out of a pandemic for young people. You want to talk a little bit about our Algebra 1 performance and really what that meant for our board to realize this monumental event?
That's right, Mary Elizabeth. It really was a powerful moment, but really what it did was it formalized the board's acknowledgement and recognition of the wonderful results that were produced by so many of our teachers and obviously our students as well. It was a powerful moment, and we were really excited to see so many people in our board meeting be recognized.
Yeah, I mean, I think this proclamation is really one of those moments where the Board of Education could have taken for granted the results achieved for kids in Henry County schools, despite all of the distractions and disruptions that the past year had presented. But instead, the board really did want to pause in unity and demonstrate their acknowledgement, recognition, and their gratitude for what professionals in public education made possible and for this amazing resiliency of young people to stay dedicated to their academics and really achieve as a result of that. You can see that they're together signing this proclamation, and each will be displayed in each one of our schools as we really turn this calendar page into the exciting new year that we see ahead.
And next, our board took action on a couple of annual items. The first is our PERKINS grant application, which is where we apply for federal funds to support CTA programming throughout our district. And the next is our board training schedule, which is something that really reflects our board's commitment to continuous improvement and their continued growth and development.
Yeah, that's right. And really, it laid the groundwork for a couple more business items that came before the board. One of those items was an investment in upgrading the technology that is servicing our school cafeterias. And this upgraded technology will actually be funded by our food nutrition program and our federal grant to run that program. That also is an item that made it to the board's consent agenda. An item that our Board of Education had the most robust discussion around on their business agenda was really related to an item that comes from the Community Inspired Strategic Plan. And that item calls for us to really analyze the opportunities and the access into those opportunities present at every single one of our schools. This is powerful work, and let's listen to Ms. McCrary as she provides a report to the Board of Education.
The superintendent is recommending approval of a schedule analysis to ensure every student and every student group has access to the growing number of advanced coursework, world language, and career pathway opportunities in our district. With 52 schools educating 43,154 students in classes like math and science, English, language arts, social studies, electives, and connection classes, a combination of these courses and students gets us to approximately 250,000 class enrollments to be analyzed. With the challenges many students face as a result of the pandemic, it is the ideal time to take a deep look at every schedule to study potential disruptions in course progressions and examine our system of scheduling students to ensure alignment with the ambitious outcomes outlined in the strategic plan. Here's what we know our community has called us to do: increase student access to world languages, advanced placement, honors, dual enrollment, and career pathways. They've also called upon us to increase students meeting competitive acceptance requirements for the University System of Georgia. And what we know from the analysis is some students have access to world languages and some do not. Some students have the opportunity to complete a career pathway and earn an industry credential, but some do not. Some students have access to a math and science sequence that places them on a path to college, and some do not. And some students have access to dual enrollment that places them on a path to the highly skilled workforce options. By partnering with an organization that has the infrastructure to analyze every student's schedule, we can dedicate district and school scheduling teams' energies toward what we need to do the most and prioritize to ensure every student and student group has access to those growing opportunities that the board has created the pathway for us to offer.
So Mrs. McCrary provided a really powerful report around really why this audit is going to be so important and the opportunities it's going to create for young people. The truth of the matter is we just don't want young people to miss out on any opportunities that might be available to them. But ultimately, we also want every one of our young people to pursue their post-secondary ambitions and to be properly positioned to be competitive in those pursuits.
Yeah, let's go ahead and listen for the board's discussion.
Thank you for bringing this to us. As you just listed some of the opportunities that students have and some do not, we simply cannot be okay with that. And I truly believe that this is all about access for students. And this is about ensuring no matter which path a student chooses upon graduation, we have done our part to equip them to be successful no matter where they go. So I feel very, very strongly about this. I think that this is going to provide opportunities for students that they never knew existed. and will really just tear down barriers to success that families have maybe never seen before.
Why cannot the system do it? Do we not have enough people to do it? Could you explain, or could you go into better detail as to why this is necessary for our support and endorsement tonight?
Well, the spirit of this is to ensure that no student, we don't miss an opportunity to make the improvements that we need in order to get students on the trajectory that the board has envisioned. And so in order to do that, we really need the infrastructure to do that well. And so when you talk about taking a look at potentially 250,000 course enrollments to ensure that they are aligned to the outcomes, the priority student outcomes, that we just do not have the technology to be able to do that well. So by partnering with an organization to do that, that helps us to remove any blinders that we have. Because although, we could try to dedicate time, but that would take over a year to try to figure out within our current infrastructure, how do we make that happen? And so in order to do that, we partner with an organization that has the infrastructure to do that, and we focus our time and energy on making sure that we address the gaps that we see.
The board unanimously endorsed this body of work that's on the horizon, and our commitment to really examining what opportunities and access into those opportunities exist for every kid in every classroom, in every school in our community is really exciting. It's big work, and it's really going to begin that transformative experience that our community called for when they aspired to be a high-performing district for all kids. Now that really wrapped up the business items of the Board of Education, and those discussions were robust in our study session, but it really paved the way for our business meeting that occurred 7 p.m. that evening. But before we got to that business meeting, Duke, why don't you talk a little bit about how we were able to come together in community in the sort of minutes and moments before that board meeting began.
That's right. Well, leading up to the meeting, we thought that it was really important to just pause and to celebrate the extraordinary achievements and accomplishments of our students, our faculty and staff, our leaders, and of course, our award-winning Board of Education. It was a festive moment. It was a fun time for sure.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, really, we had what I would say is a pep rally for teachers. There was a moment of acknowledging that the Algebra 1 teachers in our community had unprecedented results through the season of this pandemic for outcomes for kids, but it was really celebrating all teachers, just lifting up our Algebra 1 teachers, and I know you're going to want to take a look at this. Now, all of that happened before the evening meeting even began, but we had a large group of people that we were recognizing, celebrating, and just honoring the absolute significant role that teachers play in Henry County schools. Now, I have to say, the best teachers teach in Henry, and our Board of Education was not going to miss this opportunity to lift them up, celebrate, and let our teachers know just how grateful we are for your extraordinary work and the extraordinary opportunities you create for kids. But then our board meeting began, and it actually allowed us to get some in-person inspiration from our Ola Elementary School chorus students, and it went right into an amazing awards and recognition, recognizing a lot of students in our fine arts.
In Henry County Schools, we prioritize the fine arts, and if you've ever been to the district office, you know that our building is full of student artwork. And at our Board of Education meeting, we had an opportunity to celebrate the students whose work is featured in our building. Every one of the students from our elementary schools, their teachers, and their principals came to be recognized, but what was also really special is their families were there to be celebrated as well. Let's take a look.
The Board of Education was also able to recognize our cluster lead principals and all of the candidates who are leading in our organization that just completed their leadership certification. Those two celebrations just continue to round out how much we care about kids, and we adore and are grateful for the employees who make the learning experiences possible for kids. Well, those awards and recognition really paved the way for us to be able to get to the business of the board, and the board's consent agenda was unanimously approved, and there was an item that came out of executive session in order to provide a sidewalk along Ola Road in front of Ola Elementary School. And those two items both received unanimous consent of our Board of Education, and that really got us to rounding out our board meeting.
Well, it was most certainly a productive meeting. It also gave us an opportunity to celebrate so many incredible people in our district, but we also were able to handle some really important business that we know is going to help move our district forward.
Yeah, that's right. And really, as we round out today, we want to talk a little bit about the personnel action that was taken and the opportunity to celebrate that we've got some new leaders joining the team. And if you want to take a look at your screen and join with me in celebrating our newest assistant principal at Luella High School and Locust Grove Middle School, as well as our new school improvement facilitator joining our Leadership Services Division. We did have one retirement that we wanted to take a moment to note, and that is the retirement of Gabe Creary, our Executive Director of School Leadership and Operation, that was announced through the board's action on personnel as well.
Well, that'll do it. Thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth, for allowing me to co-host with you today. That was a wonderful end to our September Board of Education meeting. And as always, we here in Henry County Schools are in pursuit of exceptional. We'll see you again next month. While this was just the board recap, you can view the entire board meeting on our website. Also, before we let you go, we encourage you to follow us on social media. That's all from Henry County Schools today. Remember, we are always in pursuit of exceptional, and we'll see you next month.